What is going on, YouTube? This is episode 89 of the Saturday Bible Study, and I'm recording this on the Andrew Michael Clips channel. And if you're wondering why, it is because I've been thinking about how exactly I wanted to continue doing the Saturday Bible Study series that I've been doing here on YouTube. And for the longest time, I've been wondering what I want this to be. And I was going to make these live streams public for more people to find and more people to see. But I can't do that on the main channel, because if I did that on the main channel, then the algorithm would get thrown off of what I was doing. So I thought to myself, well, I have two other channels. Why don't I use one of those to post a Bible study? And I could have put it on Aim Eagles, but I think with that channel being new and with me wanting to eventually have that channel be doing pretty good in the future, I was like, I could put it there, but I think it'd be kind of weird if I did that. So I figured I'd probably not post there. So that's why I wound up doing this. So what I'm going to be doing is every week from here on, I'm going to be streaming to the Andrew Michael Clips channel. Then when I'm done, I'm going to make it public, so that way it is easy to find this Bible study, so that if anyone wants to keep up with the Bible studies that we do, they're here on this channel. Really easy to find. You'll find if you go to playlist. I'll even have a thing down in the channel. So when you click on the channel, you should see probably something that says Saturday Bible Study Part 2. You'll see that. So I am currently evolving how we do this. So yeah. And today we're going to be reading from Psalm 18. And we're going to be reading from verse 25 through 36. And I've got 3 notes today. I normally have 4. I've only got 3 because this is a weird passage to go through. And disclaimer is that I did use ChatGPT a little bit to help me, but I didn't use all of it. I used some of it to guide me where it wanted to go. So with that being said, let's get into the Word of God. To the faithful you show yourself To the faithful you show yourself faithful. To the blameless you show yourself blameless. To the pure you show yourself pure. But to the devious you show yourself shrewd. You save the humble, but bring low those whose eyes are haughty. You, Lord, keep my lamp burning. My God turns my darkness into light. With your help, I can advance against a troop. With my God, I can scale a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The Lord's word is flawless. He shields all who take refuge in him. For who is God besides the Lord? And who is this rock except our God? It is God who arms me with strength and keeps my ways secure. He makes my feet like the feet of a deer. He causes me to stand on the heights. He trains my hands for battle. My arms can bend a bow of bronze. You make your saving help my shield, and your right hand sustains me. Your help has made me great. You provide a broad path for my feet, so that my ankles do not give way. There is a good bit to unpack here in these passages, and as we go through these, you kind of take away 3 things. One, in this part, is that God is faithful. He is faithful to those that are faithful to him, but more so, and this is the beauty of God, he shows his faithfulness even to those who don't deserve it. He shows his love and mercy to those who don't deserve it. For example, sinners like us. We don't deserve God's love. We deserve every bit of punishment we can see coming because of sin. Because we have fallen to sin. And I heard so many times when I was on TikTok, I heard so many people tell me, oh, Andrew, you deserve for people to know who you are. You deserve for people to find you. No, I don't. Because here's the thing. If I told you about some stuff that I've said in private, and if I've told you about some things that I have thought in my mind, you wouldn't think that way. And the thing is, as humans, we're going to mess up. But on the same side, there are people that are going to see the negative things you've done and run with that. They don't care about what you have done. Oh, sorry. They don't care about what you have done to rectify that. They just care that you've did some mad things. They've done some mean things. And the Lord is willing to forgive and forget, yet why can't we do that? If the Lord is willing to forgive someone who has asked for forgiveness, why can't we do that? Why is it that we have to overcomplicate things, but yet God makes it simple here? Why is it that, again, in verse 26, but to the devious you show yourself shrewd. Instead of God turning around and being evil, he shows evil with good. He repays the evil with goodness, because God is not the one that tempts you. God is not the one that is evil. God is not the one that is going to cause you to sin. He is not the one that's going to cause you to stumble. It is the devil. Yet the devil wants you to believe that it's God that is throwing all the temptations at you. But really, God is watching over you this entire time. God knows where you are. God knows that God knows that you are struggling. And the second thing that leads into this is that he is a refuge. When you're dealing with temptation, it is so easy to believe that you are dealing with temptation by yourself, but you're not. And that's the one thing that I have been trying to understand, is that what sin will do is it'll put you in a corner, and it will make you believe that you are to be ashamed of what you've done. And in a way, you should be ashamed of the temptations you fall into. But eventually, you have to hold yourself accountable. Eventually, you have to make a choice to get away from that evil stuff. Because if you don't, you're just going to keep sinning over and over again. And if you know to do better, and you choose not to do it, then why are you surprised if something bad happens if you choose to do evil even though you knew to do right? Like, how does that help you? Meanwhile, if you're struggling with temptation and you actually run to God, and you actually pray to God, and you actually do the steps to get away from sin, it's going to be better than falling into sin. And lastly is that the Lord is our shield. And from 30 to 36, it sounds like, the imagery here talks about a war. It talks about how God is preparing us for war against sin. And as Christians, we know that we don't have to fight the war, because Jesus already won the war for us, and praise God that he did. And all we have to do is fight our little battles. That's all God requires for us to do, is be faithful to him. If God is faithful to us 24/7, why are we not faithful to him 24/7? Why not? Why not? And I think I know why. Is because as humans, it's so easy for us to think, oh, well, I'm saved. I can do whatever I want. Oh, I'm saved. I don't have to constantly push to make myself better. No, you do. Because at any point in time, if you fail, the devil's going to be right there to try to catch you and trap you with sin. He will. So with that, I have 3 notes I want us to go over. And I made sure not to show all my notes at one time, and I did. Sorry. All right, we got 3 notes here. Number 1. God shows his perfect, merciful love to us every day. So we need to show in our lives that we belong to God and not belonging to this world. As Christians, we are called to be different. As Christians, we are called to get away from being those that are not following God. We're called to not be like them. We're called to follow Christ regardless of what the popular opinion is, regardless of how people feel, regardless of what user 5,363,281 says about us on Twitter or whatever. Because at the end of the day, they're going to judge us because they don't believe in the Lord. And why are you surprised? because they have a world view. They don't have a Christ-like view of the world. And because they don't have that Christ-like view of the world, they're going to throw things at you. They're going to say some mean things to you. There are going to be people that will say the most vile stuff you've ever heard at you because you are a Christian. But is that not what Paul had to suffer through? Is that not what Jesus had to suffer through? Because here's the thing, even if you suffer for Christ, you're still doing good. Because you're suffering for doing good. So why would it be punishable for doing that? And I see so many people say, oh, well, you know, it's not worth fighting somebody over good. It's not worth fighting over someone that's trying to steal. You know, a point can be made that, you know, there's only one of you and there's so many of that. But if nothing is done, then people are going to constantly take advantage of you. And why this is important is because guess who will not take advantage of you? The Lord. Guess who will not take advantage of your kindness? Who will like you even if you're nice? Who will like you even if you are weird? Him. Even if you have no friends, even if your family turns their back on you, you still have God. They can't take that away from you. Those that think you're weird for following God, they can't take your faith away from you. And guess what? No matter how horrible those people treat you, no matter how bad we might think we are, God still wants us to trust Him instead of sin. Point number 2. We're moving fast. Dang, I didn't think we were going to be moving fast, but we are moving fast. All right, point number 2. The Lord every day wants you to know that He is in your corner, but you have to allow Him to help you. For example, I deal with lust quite often, and it is a battle that millions of young men are fighting to this day. Because we were told in school, oh, it's okay to be looking up stuff. Oh, it's okay to be, you know, finding things about girls that you shouldn't need to be looking at. Or, you know, it's good for you to think about women in a horrible way. But here's the thing. All that is doing is hurting you, because not only are you hurting yourself physically, but you're kind of in a way hurting yourself spiritually, because you believe that, you know, that prawn stuff is your refuge. You believe that prawn is your safe space, as they say. But all it does is contort your mind on how you see women. All it does is it contorts how you see women, how you view women, how you find someone, you know. I know I'm the one talking because I've been mostly single for most of my life. But every time that I've gone more than a week without getting into that stuff, I can tell my mind has changed. I can tell that my mind is evolving over time. Because I'm getting away from sin. I'm getting away from this thing that caused me turmoil. I'm getting away from this thing that was present. That was a sin. And even if you, and the way I view it is every day is a chance for you to show people that you are making an effort to get away from the thing that you were dealing with. But here's the thing, you have to make the choice to follow God. God has already made the choice to follow you. God has already made the choice to be in your corner. But you have to be the one to tag him in. It's like professional wrestling. You know, when you see teams fighting each other and you see the one dude standing in the corner waiting to get in the match. It's up to the person in the ring to get themselves up and tag in that other person. That other person can't get in the ring unless they're tagged in. And it's the same way with our faith. God is standing in the corner ready to get to bat and get to war and fight with you. God is willing to help you. But you have to let him do it. And I know I'm the one talking. I'm practicing when I'm preaching. And I know this is something I need to hear too. Because everyone needs to hear that. Everyone needs to hear that God is in your corner And you have to choose to follow him. And it's not easy to do it all the time because sin in our minds doesn't want us to do that, but you've got to do it. You've got to. And last and final point here, and this is a big one. God is a shield against evil, and he is a refuge we can go to avoiding falling to temptation of all sorts. Stop pretending that you are alone in your struggles, because God wants you to know that he is wanting you to run to righteousness by following him today. God knows that you're struggling. He's not dumb. God knows that you're going through a rough time. But if you're going through a rough time right now, are you praying to God? Are you showing that you're faithful to him even when things are going south? Are you praying to God even when things are good versus just begging for him to fix things when they're going wrong? You know, I remember a couple weeks ago when my lights went out for a whole day. And that whole time I was just praying, hoping that the lights would come back on. That I was hoping and praying that, you know, things would hopefully get back to being normal for the rest of the day. And I just prayed, got up and tried to do some things. Prayed, got up and done some things. Prayed, got up and done X, Y, and Z. And what's so interesting to me is once the lights came back on, it was like as if I wasn't satisfied again. Because I was like, oh, well, now what? But that's the thing. When you look at things at a materialistic standpoint, you don't fully understand what God is trying to show you. And more importantly, you don't recognize that the things of this world are temporary. What you do, what you follow is temporary. What you show to people is temporary. The clothes you wear are temporary. The lights going out, hopefully, are temporary. But guess what? Guess what's never going to change? The Lord and his goodness. The Lord and his faithfulness. The Lord and him being there for you. God will answer your prayer one way or another. And sometimes he won't answer the prayer you want him to do it. Because he has your best interest in mind. You may not think that. But the Lord knows what you're struggling through. And because he knows what you're struggling through, he wants you to trust in him so that way you can show to others what a life is like of following him. Especially when you're going through a rough time, because people expect you to hate God. They expect you to turn your back on God. They expect you to curse God. But when you're not doing that and you're praising God and you're showing that even when things are going south for you, that you still trust him, you will turn heads quicker than you can say scat. Because they won't understand it at first, but then they might come around to trusting in him. And to end it, we live in a world that is full of wickedness every day. And I know I'm not perfect in doing this, but if we want people to see us as Christians inside and outside of church, if we want people to see that we are following God outside of church as much as we like to show that we're doing it inside church, guess what you have to do? You have to walk in the footsteps of Christ every day. You have to act like as if you are following Christ through your actions and through your words. And again, I know I'm not perfect. I know that I've handled situations and I should have done better. I know that. But the important part out of all this is to pray. If you're going through something right now, the first thing is to pray, but two is to trust in the Lord. Mainly trusting in the Lord is where your faith comes into play. Because if you don't trust in the Lord, you don't really have a faith. Because that's what your faith is when you have faith in something, you're trusting that that person, that being, that thing is going to come through for you. That's what it's about. So with that, I'm going to end this Bible study. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, I'm Andrew Michael. Now I'll see you all in the next one.